Good afternoon. It is 1:30 here in Paracas on the coast of Peru. And I'm just doing this little live session in order to give you an update. We're starting our annual Elongated Skulls of Peru tour on August the 7th. And we're going to be going to Cusco and, of course, visiting Machu Picchu, the highlands of Peru. And then we're heading back here to the coast, and we'll be visiting Paracas, and we'll be flying over the Nazca Lines. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an update about how I now make my my new YouTube videos. As some of you will have seen, some of the equipment that I've been using is a lot smoother than before. My new secret weapon is this little device, and what this is a very baby quadcopter. So it's so small that technically it's not really even a drone. So I'm hoping to be able to use this in future videos or go to locations where technically I'm not supposed to fly a drone, but this thing is so small and compact that I can easily fit it in my pocket. And then as well, this is for my iPhone. It's a Steadicam Gimbal. So this is why my latest videos have been much smoother, because I'm able to use this. And when I'm ascending staircases and things like at Ollantaytambo and Machu Picchu, then it's a much smoother image that I get. And then also this by the same company. This is another gimbal camera, like that. Actually, you turn it on like that. Oops. There we go. Then it stabilizes itself. I can also put the iPhone in here, in the slidable thing like that, so that I can view the images as I'm recording them. And this stuff is not that expensive. I think this one's about $650. The other one, the other gimbal things was $299 or something like that. So again, we're doing the Elongated Skull tour. This is a copy. This is not a real skull, but this is a copy of one of the Paracas ones. Unfortunately, the lower jaw's not here. It's cast out of resin, but it's so incredibly realistic that when I took it and two others into the United States about 4 years ago, then I was stopped at customs because, of course, they x-rayed my luggage, and then they pulled them out, and I was dragged into the back room, and they said, how can you prove that these are not real skulls? That's how good they are. Because the one thing is that it's solid. Like, this weighs probably 4 pounds or something. And so it took a while. Then finally the supervisor came in, and he looked at them, and then he looked at the skulls, he looked at the skulls, and he looked at me, and he said, oh, this guy's okay, he's on Ancient Aliens. So they literally let me out because of that, to take them in. And it's quite a small skull, as you can see. The eye sockets are a little bit larger than normal, but it's not really one of the classic ones. But what's interesting in terms of the details is you see these little tiny bones here. These are actually not on a normal skull. They're called Inca bones because they're a physical characteristic of the royal Inca people. But this is a Paracas skull from the coast of Peru, dating from 2,000 to 3,000 years old. So it's quite possible that when the Nazca people entered the Paracas area 2,000 years ago, they tried to exterminate the royal Paracas, but some of them were able to escape, and they took an ancient road up to the city of Cusco, because the so-called Inca roads are not all from Inca time. Some of them are much older, thousands of years older. The Incas simply inherited some of the roads, and then they improved them. That's one of the things they did when they expanded into other territories, was that they would, as a way to encourage another culture to join the Inca world, And they would say, well, we'll come and improve your infrastructure, we'll improve your roads, we'll improve your agriculture, and you can trade all of your goods into the Inca system. And that's why the Inca were able to expand really quite rapidly. Archaeologists, I believe, are quite wrong in assuming that the Inca used force. Force was only used as a last resort. What they like to do is they like to encourage neighboring people to join into the Inca world, and quite often the leaders of those societies would agree because the Inca were superior in terms of road construction and agriculture. They developed at least 2,000 varieties of potatoes and 200 or 300 kinds of corn. So microsystems, they could grow anything from the valley floor up to more than probably 12,000 feet in altitude. So again, many of you will know that the Paracas people, the royal Paracas, had, of course, elongated skulls, just the nobility. They also had genetically red hair. And also, here's the example of where the suture line does not exist. It's not that the suture line has fused, it's simply not there. No medical professional can explain why that is. And here are the two little holes in the back of the skull, which are genetic. So this is a genetic characteristic. It's not the result of head binding or cranial deformation. Now, also, some of you will have known that I put up videos about the DNA results. And for you, I just wanted to go over them one more time. The anomalies. So what's really interesting is as we get into the book, let's see, find the list of DNA results. So all Native American people, especially those that lived from those of 100% genetic indigenous inheritance that lived or live from Mexico down to Patagonia, are only of 4 different haplogroups, which is their ancestry. At least that's the basic theory. So that relates, those 4 haplogroups relate to people who crossed the Bering Land Bridge, whatever, 12,000 plus years ago. So those haplogroups are A, B, C, and D. But when we did the major genetic testing of the Paracas and published the results in January, from which no academic has bothered to try to contact me to get the actual data and information. They're simply not interested. But these are some of the anomalies that we wound up finding. These are haplogroups which are not related to A, B, C, or D. U2E1, U2E, H1, H, K, H2A, T2B, J1B1, and then see, only two of the samples were haplogroup B, which is Native American. The rest are not Native American whatsoever. And these people supposedly formed their culture, their civilization on the coast of Peru 3,000 years ago. So that's way before any foreigners were supposed to be here, but obviously somebody was. The commonality of these DNA results are that they relate very strongly with results found in the Black Sea and Crimea area. The largest elongated skulls in the world have been found here at Paracas in a very small section of one of the royal cemeteries. And the other place where equally as large elongated skulls have been found is the Black Sea and Caspian Sea area and Crimea. That's the focal point. And so we're talking the high possibility of emigration 3,000 plus years ago from the Black Sea, which is quite intriguing. The other thing actually that I didn't list before is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different samples from different skulls. The results came out as unknown. So that means haplogroups which are unknown on the planet, because all people all living people, the DNA mapping is very thorough. It has been completely done with all living indigenous groups and cultures on the planet, and even ancient people such as, or related life forms such as Neanderthal and Denisovan and Homo florensis, the little people of Indonesia. So those results show that there is an ancestry of the Paracas which is unknown at this time. So of course, what we are going to do is more DNA testing. I'm not going to bother going through any big funding campaign, but I'm going to sample 2 skulls that are in a private collection here in the Paracas area, and I will privately fund that. I'll set up a little GoFundMe thing. We're not looking at a huge amount of money. We're looking at trying to raise probably about $3,000, and that will allow us 2 samples from each of those 2 skulls. And so we'll see how those results relate to the ones we've seen. What blows me away, of course, is that no academic is interested whatsoever in the anomalies that we found. And actually now I'm kind of thinking that that's typical. Okay, actually, I'd like to answer some of your questions, which are up here. They're blasting through pretty rapidly. About Stephen Greer, I have no idea what's going on with the Atacama little skeleton, alien-looking thing. Some people have believed that it's an anomaly of some kind, as in it's a human being that has some kind of birth defect, but I find that highly unlikely. So I'm not directly connected to that. Okay, the question about the Nazca Lines. I've heard theories that actually, if you trace some of the Nazca Lines, that some of them actually do go to Angkor Wat, connecting ancient places. But the problem is that the Nazca system is so complicated, the lines go off in many different directions, and they were made over the course of 1,000 years, from the Paracas, who began about 500 BC, up until 100 AD. Then when the Nazca took over, then they continued making the lines up until about 500 AD. So that's 1,000 years of history, 2 different cultures making them. So that's why, of course, I wrote a book, which is on Amazon, about Nazca, because there are different theories. Some aspects of the different theories do make sense. No one theory makes complete sense. So I'm not defending a specific theory. I'm just taking what I think is logical from from all the different theories and piecing them together. Yeah, I honestly have nothing. I have no idea what L.A. Marzulli is up to these days. We were working together with the DNA testing of the Paracas, but he's gone off on his own, and I'm going to be studying this independently from now on. Okay, so thank you very much for watching our tour. I haven't been able to film anything new because we've been just relaxing here in Peru for the last month, researching upcoming things. Again, our Elongated Skulls tour hopefully will make new discoveries. This begins on August the 7th and is in the highlands of Peru and here on the coast of Peru. Then October, we have our major tour, which is sold out. In January, we're hoping to go to India to study megalithic structures. If we get enough people signed up, then February, we're off to Mexico to look at megalithic Mexican sites. If you want to look up one which is fascinating, look up Mitla, M-I-T-L-A. It's in Oaxaca. And there we found, much to my amazement, some beams. Some of them were 6 tons. One was about 10 tons. Another one was 18 tons, made out of basalt, very flat surfaces. So that's lost ancient high technology. Then April, we're going back to Egypt for our 7th annual tour. Actually, that tour sold out. So I'm not solely trying to sell you tours. I'm just telling you the things that I will be up to in the coming months so that you'll look forward to watching upcoming YouTube videos that I will producing. Thank you so much for hopefully subscribing to my channel. It's very much an honor for me to make these videos for you. Oh, and actually as a last minute thing, we found that there are anomalies in terms of the blood types too, because all 100% native people of Peru, or actually from Mexico all the way down to Patagonia, should only be blood type O, 100%. But samples were tested 40 years ago of 14 samples of the Paracas elongated skull culture were tested from blood taken from textiles. And rather than being 100% blood type O, the results turned out to be blood type A, 28.5%, blood type B, 7.1%, blood type AB, which is the rarest blood type on Earth, which is 3% of the general population. The result turned out to be 21.4%, and blood type O, only 43%. So again, the Paracas study it's an ongoing thing. The DNA testing will be an ongoing thing. Our sampling from private collections means that we don't have to go through any governmental channels. We can directly send the samples to the laboratory in Canada, which does the testing. And in terms of the blood types as well, we found a laboratory in Cusco, a major clinic, which will do the sampling and testing of the blood to see if we can find more anomalous blood types. Okay, so thank you very much for joining. I'll be doing a lot of live stuff when we're in the field, starting on the 7th of next month, or actually this month now, 7th of August in Cusco, and going on for 10 days. We won't be going back to Pumapunku until October, but I have a brand new video I'm going to upload in 4K resolution, where we did a lot of filming of magnetic anomalies, much more than before. We had a big group there, and we found some very bizarre things going on at Pumapunku. The andesite stone has very strange magnetic anomalies that we haven't been able to figure out fully quite yet. No, I have not been to Bosnia. I've been invited to go to Bosnia, but I'm not going to pay for a trip to go to Bosnia. If Dr. Sam wants to invite me to go, then I'm more than happy to go. But to go to Bosnia, there's nothing else I know of that's really fascinating in the immediate area. So it's not like going to Egypt, where you have lots and lots and lots of different locations to visit. Oh, I forgot to also mention that after our trip to Egypt in April, we're going to be going to Lebanon, we're going to Baalbek and Byblos, and then we're also going to Jordan. We're going back to Petra, because Petra is a very, very ancient city that was not created by some local population. It shows high technology, like amazing stuff. There are chambers there cut into the quartzite stone that are 300,000 cubic feet. That could not have been done with hand tools. No, I've not been to Portugal or the Azores yet. I'm still hoping to go to lots of different places. Yeah, I've been to Cotoche and Huánuco. We'll be going back there maybe in the fall. We're going to be exploring Peru much more, less international travel and more visiting ancient sites in Peru. There's lots of stuff up in the highlands. Just visiting Machu Picchu is like good, but there are lots and lots of places to visit up in the highlands of Peru. Maybe more in Bolivia. I kind of doubt it, but anyway. And Antarctica, good question. I find Antarctica quite fascinating. So we'll see what's going. If any information can come out of there. Yes, I have seen Ancient Aliens debunked, and the guy doesn't really know that much about what he's talking about, as far as I can tell, on a scientific basis. So thank you once again, and I'll be doing more live YouTube things in the field starting on August the 7th. Thanks again for watching.